Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, a very special guest, returning guest. His name is John Brisson, Brisson. If you listen to my show, you've heard him many times. You've covered many important subjects, timely subjects, things. I think this was at least, we're over 20 episodes for sure. We've covered Alice Bailey, Ark of the Covenant, Chris Bledsoe. We've covered Brock Pierce most recently. We did a great show on the life and death of Mike Aquino. That was kind of a group show that involved George of Cab Death, among others. Finders, Alice Bailey. He's interviewed me about Global Death Cult, Sound of Freedom. Peter Thiel scries the Earth, and then one the title that I like of mine is Amalek in the Room with Us, which I think is very timely too. And we're just talking in the pre-show about all this stuff, and he reached out to me. He's been doing some work. He's published a new book about fixing your mitochondria, which I have on my desktop. I have not read it yet, but expect a show about that book in the future. But he's also been doing research about somebody I'm interested in. It's largely somebody who's kind of like bounced around the alternate media to see some of these other people crop up, like this guy, Carol. And I mentioned this other guy that was on Sean Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sean Ryan is like almost like the number one podcast in the world over Joe Rogan. I've seen him. He's like battling in the standings, but also some of these other characters, Lex Fridman. It's not Friedman. It's Fridman, and he's just an interesting character. I don't know like his whole background, but John's done a lot of research. We have a lot of videos. I'm going to try to get them tabbed so we can listen to the audio. I also have some downloaded, but it's back in the news because I've seen this video of Fridman talking to Trump about how Trump's going to release the Epstein files. And then this whole thing happened a couple days ago, which is a total joke. Like it's completely laughable that our government just said there's no there. And like, I've studied that in great detail. Like, I've had like conversations with other people who've studied it. It's like, this is one of the most important things in America is this blackmail ring and child trafficking ring. And it's just off the charts. But Fridman is also, he's an interesting guy. And the way he conducts his interviews, I don't know if he's objective, but John can talk more about that. So John,
I don't think he is, William.
I don't think he is. And I think it's important. Like I just was watching a clip on Alex Jones talking about Ben Shapiro, like, we've come to the conclusion, the government said it, so there's nothing about Epstein. You're watching these guys, they're influencers.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you uncomfortable, especially Fridman and the way he conducts stuff. When he's talking to Kanye, you see like some of the stuff you sent me was Grimes that I've seen, Novel Harari, and just like a shaper of culture, and not in a good way, in my opinion, but no. What got you kind of on the path of Fridman? Is it something you've been working on a while, or has it come up recently?
It's been over a few years. My friend Joe, I don't know if he wants me to give him his last name. I can if he wants me to, but he was the one who alerted me to Lex many years ago. Most people know obviously of Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan's Nexus. We have Joe Rogan to thank for Lex Fridman in a lot of ways, but he kept saying, look at all these people that he keeps having on, and I'm like, oh. And so I started, just keeping a look, and, a lot of transhumanists, a lot of culture shapers. One of the biggest one during the COVID pandemic being Albert Bourla, right? And we'll get to some of the, clips with Albert Bourla, which pretty much helped to break down, what I think kind of exposing who Lex is. So Lex, obviously, just to name a few people, Sam Altman from OpenAI, Vladimir Zelensky, right? The president of Ukraine, Donald Trump when he was running for president, Ben Shapiro, who you had mentioned earlier. He'd even hosted the Ben Shapiro versus Destiny debate, which, you couldn't pay me to listen to that debate, right? Because Destiny is a degenerate. There's other things I can say about Destiny. He also has pedophile tendencies. And Ben Shapiro is just horrible Israeli Zionist toe the line liar, bullcrap artist, whatever you want to say
Yeah.
about Ben Shapiro, right? So you couldn't, but then you have Lex, who kind of fools people through this, kind of monotone Ukrainian, voice that he has, where he kind of like comes on like, I'm the peacemaker and I'm a peaceful guy and I'm just, presenting forth these ideas, right? And he's doing it kind of like, let's explore it by talking with these people and peace and love and let's be peaceful. However, he has a very itchy trigger finger for blocking people on X if he's trying to be so understanding and loving, right? That people have called him out over the years, that it's fake, it's a facade. You even though I'm not a fan of the Zionist Gad Sad, even Gad Sad could figure out that Lex Fridman's a fraud, right? Because he's a fraud. Like he tries to put on this persona that, like I said, he's Mr. Peace and harmony and just interviewing these people and trying to get their ideas and their takes about everything. But in reality, it's anything but. He's been set up. He comes, if you can believe, again, there were other people from MIT throwing kind of discounting Lex Fridman's previous work as far as computer science and him being a research scientist supposedly at MIT, but yet putting out all these podcasts. If you're a research scientist, how do you have the time to interview all these people and put all those podcasts and do all this work, right? And there were a lot of people already discussing that, which I would agree. It doesn't really make much sense to me, right? Like you wouldn't think that he'd have the time to do this. So he gets his break on Rogan. We know that Rogan, because Peter Thiel showed up on Rogan and he said, pretty much, Rogan, I need you to jump. And Rogan said, house high, right? And then that's when Rogan endorsed Trump. And because we know that, the last election through Cambridge Analytica 3.0 or whatever we're going to call it, psychological warfare that got Trump elected, that Peter Thiel was behind Trump in that regard, right? So, that nexus, that kind of technocratic nexus with Thiel being one of the heads of it, Peter Thiel from Palantir and PayPal fame, part of the PayPal mafia, right? That's why Lex Fridman, it looks like, was boosted. Now, I don't know why. Like we talked about Sean Ryan earlier. Sean Ryan, again, if you look back at his early podcasts, okay, he was just like interviewing army people, military people, and that makes sense because of his, former government agency involvement, right? But you could tell as soon as he interviewed the Blackwater group that was accused of
Was
war
it Prince?
atrocities, right?
Prince?
It wasn't Prince, but it was like the Blackwater people from Blackwater that were accused of war atrocities, right? That's all of a sudden he went to the moon. Sean Ryan went to the moon right after that. You can go back and look, and that's because I believe he was brought into the Prince Nexus, right? And CMP Prince Nexus, so that's why the rocket was strapped to him afterwards. So the question was Lex always in the gang? Because again, we don't know really how much of his biography is true. A lot of people on Reddit question his biography. Okay, but then again, as we're told, he's this, AI computer science specialist, working on deep learning and semi-autonomous vehicle algorithms, who met with Elon Musk, right? So that's what we're told, right? We're told that. But how much really truly is true, and how much really truly of that can be verified? And there's a lot of people on Reddit that cast that doubt on Lex, whether it's true or not, of his so-called previous bio and who he is and where he is today, and of his own persona of who he is. Is it even real, or is it just some sort of manufactured act? Which I believe, to be honest, William, it is. From what I've been able to tell, and looking into him and listening to him, it seems like that is the case. For example, he is very thin-skinned, very thin-skinned, and it's very difficult to tell what exactly is Lex Fridman's ethics. What does he hold dear? What does he believe to be true? What is his morality? how does he feel about societal ethics? And you can't really tell. You could tell at least the persona that he has, that he believes that transhumanism is important. He believes that longevity science is important. He has an affinity for the martial arts, supposedly, allegedly, right? So those are a few things that you could tell. I do believe that he does have he does like chess. There's certain things that I do believe that are probably likely true of Lex Fridman, just like I believe that Joe Rogan really does love MMA, you know. But that being said, though, however, just going through a few more people that he's had on, interviewing Tucker Carlson, Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk 4 times, like even from his very start, he interviewed Eric Schmidt from Google as the 8th person he interviewed.
How?
Okay. So like at that start, yeah, exactly. How? So again, like Steven Pinker, his second interview, Eric Weinstein, the managing director of Theo Capital, his 16th interview, where Eric Weinstein and Lex Fridman show, as we'll play it, downplays his involvement and Peter Thiel's involvement with Epstein, right? Because that's his job. All right. So again, very early on within his 20th episode, 18, Elon Musk. 18, Elon Musk. And we're supposed to think that this is some sort of meteoric rise of Lex Fridman where he's just this lucky, right? I don't buy it, William. I just don't. I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I
The
just don't buy it.
personality of a cardboard box, man. He's like a houseplant. That's why I have this title. Like, how does somebody like this? And his background's really questionable. I've heard of people going into his his background at MIT. He worked at MIT, but it makes it sound like he went there. My understanding is that he was not educated at MIT, but it's kind of like a CV washing or augmenting your your resume or something like that.
Yes, falsely building it up to make yourself sound better than you actually are, which a lot of people on Reddit, that's what they ponder. That's what they think about. A lot of people don't like them, both the right or the left. They don't like them. You'll see a lot of the Reddit posts be leftist. But you'll see some of them being people on the right too that just don't like Lex Fridman and whom he's interviewed in the past. And so Noam Chomsky, just to go through the list, see if people that he has interviewed.
The early ones are incredible. Like, that's a great start out of the chute, like off the charts. Elon Musk has like 200 million followers on X or something crazy. Like, imagine just getting reposted just by that.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be made.
We have 83, the futurist technocratic Bostrom, Richard Dawkins at 87, Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, that was backed by Peter Thiel, number 80, Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, 91, Eric Weinstein again for a second time at 88. Ben Goertzel, who, Sophia robot, was funded through Jeffrey Epstein by grant by Jeffrey Epstein, right? That he was proud of. Ben Goertzel was still proud of, even after Jeffrey Epstein's arrest and being put in prison. He was still, proud of that grant. Lex Fridman's interviewed. We're going to play some of the clips today. I could go on and on, but he's interviewed very major people, not all of them technocrats. So like, again, how does he, like you said, a guy who has no personality, when you listen to him, he is one of the most boring people to ever listen to a podcast. I don't like Joe Rogan, but I can at least say Joe Rogan's entertaining. Okay. I don't like Alex Jones anymore, but Alex Jones is entertaining to listen to. Okay. These people have personalities. All right. Lex doesn't. His personality is akin to watching paint dry.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. We did that other show. We talked about Thiel and his like nursery where he would, angel invest and all this. Maybe these guys are angel investing in public figures to get their points across, but it's not secret. So there's, under the table sub rosa benefits like these interviews. Like, okay, you come on board, you do what I do, and I'll be on your show. So, I think that's him. I think that this is what Fridman is. And, it's weird. Like, I think he was at MIT. All of a sudden, he shows up at the new the new cultural epicenter of Austin, right? Like
Yeah.
that to me is like, okay, that's what he's doing. This is not some kind of like self-created person. And I think Rogan, if you look at some of his guest kind of hosts, I think that he's on board with these guys. He's on board
Oh
with
yes.
Thiel and Musk
Oh yes.
and putting people on his show that they request or that are in their orbit, so to speak.
How many times has Rogan had Rick Doblin? I call him Rick Goblin from Maps Institute, right? Like how many times? I mean, we're gonna play a clip of Lex having Rick Goblin on, pushing psychedelics and psychedelic research in the Maps Institute, having the work done by the late Matthew North, right? Initially, he was the one that did the research in Maps and Rogan, and I've continued it on. So I mean, what do we expect? Rick Doblin literally said, the reason why I call him Rick Goblin, he literally said, and I quote William, he said that they were going to use psychedelics like ketamine, and they were going to put soldiers with PTSD in K-holes and then bring them out so they no longer have PTSD anymore and then send them back to war again. Okay.
Just
Which is
incredible.
a modern, pharmacological push forward of the MK Ultra project, right? Where again, they're, Peter Thiel's funding majority of the ketamine clinics in the United States of America. Okay. I covered that in my, MAPS 2 follow-up. Okay. And continuing Matthew North's work. And what they're doing is they're putting people in these clinics, and there's one here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for Fort Bragg soldiers, right? They're putting them in the metaverse using Oculus, which is Anduril Industries, Palmer Luckey, right? And then, or should I say, Palmer Luckey. And then putting them in ketamine infusions, putting them in K-holes, and then taking them out and claiming they lived like 10 or 15 years of their life, 20 years of their life, or however, in that brief amount of time they were in the K-hole hooked up to the metaverse, and that they're now fixed. They no longer have post-traumatic stress disorder, and you pretty much, as Rick Doblin said, you have super soldiers. Because no longer are they going to be, again, where does PTSD stem from? It stems from the psychological trauma that soldiers experience in the battlefield, right? And some of the horrific things that they witness and some of the even horrific things that they participate in, okay? But to say that you can somehow pharmacologically and through the metaverse change that so that all of a sudden, their soul's not effective, but everything's in the brain and you can rewire the neurons to get them no longer have PTSD at all and just put a gun back in them and put them through infinite trauma, and that's okay? It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Like the people who focus on like MK Ultra died or they burned all the stuff in the early 70s. Like this is the next step. Like we're at iteration 3 or 4 or something like that. Like these guys are doing it. This guy's doing it. And to not think that there are unethical things taking place in some of these places. Even right, I'm just scanning the Wikipedia pages.
Just go down to the Maps Assault allegations.
Yeah,
I covered that.
Yeah. So what else are they doing? And then you see all these kind of weird things happening, even in the modern culture today. Mangione and that Boatner guy from what was it, Minnesota or Wisconsin, who said that he was trained, and then they disappeared him. Why would you say that? Why would you even know how to say that? Like that's really kind of like alt media type stuff, but the Narut files and stuff. So this is the orbit of Fridman. Like this is like you see him in the same kind of overlap as Rogan.
Yep.
Like how much of Rogan is real? I don't know. Like he's very similar promotion to Fridman in the sense of kind of transhumanism, drugs, right? Like psychedelics. I think Rogan's thing was the spirit molecule, so called
DMT pushing
DMT,
psychedelics, which Maps is doing that. And you literally have here, I covered Megan Brisson in British Columbia, Canada. She was molested by her therapist that were giving her MDMA as part of a Maps clinical trial.
Yeah, this is not that long ago, 2015, 10 years ago. Just resolved 2019. Wow. So this is God. So Dubin's on there. They're all on there. Toblin the Goblin. I think I like that. But Yeah, so Fridman has all these characters. Do you want to show? Do you have anything else before we get to the videos or anything?
Nah, that's really about it. I think we
Okay.
covered enough of Friedman's sketchy
Let's
background
see.
and meteoric rise to power because of Joe Rogan and I believe Peter Thiel Nexus is
I think you're right. I think that they're there, and you know, these guys. The interviews are softball. They're not really.
no.
They're you know, they let him talk and they don't really say anything, and he kind of Fridman seems to shape things according to his agenda. I would say.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not an excellent interviewer by any stretch of the imagination.
One of the things about these kind of fake guys too that you see is they all push the shot at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ben Shapiro and Borla and Fridman. Let's see. Let me know if you hear the audio.
Do you regret sort of being like overrepresenting the effectiveness of the vaccine, technically saying correct things, but just kind of like highlighting the super positive things that may be misinterpreted, you know, saying 100%?
No, I never said something 100%. And every time I speak, if a number is 100%, I rush to say that in biology there is.
I think he's lying. I think he said 100% efficacy or 95,
which is impossible with any treatment for the most part that I know of, as far as, you know, for the most part. But then you notice that Lex uses qualifying language beforehand where he's like, well, yeah, maybe you said 100, maybe, but he pretty much agrees with him that it's still efficacious, right? So it's
So he's log rolling. It's called log rolling, where you like don't have any you're like, you set this up. Here's the underhanded pitch. Let's listen to it again.
Do you regret sort of being like overrepresenting the effectiveness of the vaccine, technically saying correct things,
just kind of like really, Lex, really
highlighting the super positive things that may be misinterpreted, you know, saying 100%?
No, I never said something 100%. And every time I speak, if a number is 100%, I rush to say that in biology there is nothing 100%,
right?
Because always there will be when you go to the millions. Okay, there were in the study things that were 100%, for example, deaths, or in South Africa, when we tried, there was 100% efficacy. Clearly, small numbers. When the numbers will become much bigger, the 100% will not hold, but will be 95, 96. So still, directionally, this is the point. So I'm very, very careful what I tweet. And
no, you're not.
No, he's not.
He's a liar, Albert.
Yeah, he is. And a stone cold propagandist and money grubber.
So he's telling me they had a very small study down there in Africa with the shot, right? And he said it was 100% ethical because nobody died from it and no one died from COVID, right? And it's like, well, if your study is a very small study, it doesn't really prove anything when you're using a mass shot across millions of people, right? You can't equate the two, and, you know. And then he goes, well, even though it's used against, you know, millions of people now, right? It was 95%, 90% effective. Now you've done numerous shows exposing the pandemic, William. All right, I've talked about it. I've discussed it throughout various shows. There's no way it's not. The shot has done more harm than it ever did anything good, if at all. So now we know, and you can say hindsight's 2020, but then again, I was saying it, and I'm sure you were too, back when all this was going on, that the shot was going to be this way. And again, like,
it's a bioweapon.
He's lying.
It's a weapon.
He's lying. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's still out. They're still doing this. They're putting out this mRNA for kids. Mm-hmm. And Ezekiel Emanuel, another guy on TV doing the rounds. Like, this is part of. He was actually. There's actually a flyer of him at Comet Pizza, of all places. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, he's at there with Kamala Harris's sister Maya before it all broke. So this is your reputable, you know, epidemiologist or whatever. He's also part of like the Irgun. Like, his dad is like a total Zionist. So you can see some of these guys are pushing this murder shot, like Fridman and Shapiro and Ezekiel. There's
But William, though, I thought that R.F. Kennedy Jr., who's blackmailed Epstein to the hilt, who is pro-Zionist and really good friends with Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, just like his father RFK, was receiving correspondence and was good friends with Rabbi Minchaim Schneerson of Chabad fame, right? So RFK Jr., of course, it's very interestingly enough, the FDA just approved Moderna's COVID shot fully for kids, right? So
Sure did. And Blondie Bondi just dropped her investigation into Pfizer. Orla's thing. I mean, these are crimes. This guy's a stone cold criminal. I've
Agreed.
done tons of shows, just like you mentioned. I did 49 episodes on Bioweapon Blues because it took out tons of people. And that ties into Thiel again because there was a report that came out that Palantir was behind some of the shot rollout, which gets very sinister.
Operation Tiberius Kirk, I've talked about it many times on my channel. We've talked about it as well, too.
And they're using it in Gaza, like selecting targeting. So if you think that you're not going to be end up like a Gazan, you're naive, baby, because they're learning, and the AI curve is steep, and they're figuring out. They just did a show. I mean, Thiel, people who don't know, Thiel was at Bilderberg.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of their agenda was depopulation. They let it out. They're doing it, guys. So this is the age of annihilation. They're getting started. So I would be very concerned about all this stuff and all these liars who are taking you to the kind of shot gulag or the shot abattoir or the shot concentration camp. Be careful out there, people. It's cumulative too. That's the way they designed it.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, so it's very dark. It's just total. I mean, this guy's part of it. Fridman's part of the cartel, as far as I'm concerned.
Agree.
Anyway, it's bad. Can I tell you my blonde joke?
Yes, go ahead.
On the topic of Bondi, he was a total loser. She should quit. A blind guy walks into a bar and he says to the bartender, "Hey, do you want to hear my blonde joke?" And the bartender says, "Hold on, before you tell this, I was in the military. I was the first blonde woman in the Green Berets, and I've done 2 tours of Iraq. And down there at the end of the bar, there's a blonde police officer woman, and she has had 3 confirmed kills on the job. And then sitting next to her is a blonde firewoman, and she has been on the job 20 years and saved people from burning buildings. And then there's also at the end of the bar a airline pilot who's blonde, who's logged like 40,000 hours in the sky." And the bartender says, "So do you really want to tell that blonde joke?" And the blind guy says, "Hell no, I don't want to have to explain it 4 times." Anyway,
that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
What's the next clip? Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. Whatever you want to. But I mean, that shows that Lex Fridman was pushing the V and giving an excuse and out to Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla. I mean, right there. I mean,
he's log rolling for him, right? That's really what it is. So stop. Let's go back. Share. There's Jordan Peterson.
I don't know if you know who that is. He's a psychologist and intellectual, and
yes.
He suggested to me that I raise the concern that there's a close working relationship between Pfizer, FDA, and CDC. So we talked about FDA. Do you worry that this affects both positive and negative Pfizer's chances of getting drugs approved? The fact that there's people, that worked at the FDA that now work at Pfizer, FDA, that there's a kind of pipeline. Does this worry you that it affects your ability to do great, unbiased work?
I have zero doubts that this is not affecting at all their ability to be unbiased and regulate. And in order for the system also reinforces that by creating significant time barriers. If someone moves from an industry to FDA, he won't be able to deal with topics for a period of time, and then for even an enhanced period of time with topics that are related with the company he or she may come from. I think these regulators, they are really very strict, rightly so. If anything, I feel sometimes that maybe they should be a little bit more open-minded, particularly when it comes to new technologies, rather than trying to judge and implement the same framework of evaluation of new technologies to all. They are always, as regulators, in the conservative side. But always, they are unbiased and they are trying the best. And it's not only one or two people. They have processes to make sure that there are self-checks and balances within the agencies, both in CDC and in the FDA. Difficult decisions, they bring external experts that they should express. Easy decisions, they are internal experts that they are debating a lot. And if there are disagreements, they elevate them. So I think it's we are lucky to have good regulators. I think I agree with what you said before. As with all governmental agencies, there is bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy needs to be addressed. And by saying bureaucracy is not relaxing the bar needs to remain high, but focusing on what matters rather than on the detail.
So you don't, I've been reading quite a bit about history. You don't worry about human nature and corruption that can seep in. You're saying institutionally there's protections against this.
I think there is always the fear of corruption, particularly when you speak about public servants. But clearly the risk is very
not the corporations.
And speaking about agencies by agencies, I think the regulatory agencies have a very good track record and history of the US, of Europe, of England.
No, they don't.
Of very, very good track record of integrity.
It's something I think about.
That he can even say integrity and then Lex doesn't even respond to that. Like, that's a joke.
So I grew up in the Soviet Union, and I need to perhaps introspect this a little bit. But when I was growing up...
If he grew up in the Soviet Union technically ended in 93, is that correct? Or early 90s?
Yeah,
and this is 3 years ago.
Yeah, 1994 was when he moved to U.S. at the age of 11.
Okay, that makes sense. So he's 40? He's 40 years old, I guess?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Ethically, there was a sense that bribery is the only way you can get stuff done. That was the system of the time. Like, you get pulled over by a police officer. Like, obviously, you need to bribe them. I mean, it was like the way of life. And then so coming to this country, it was beautiful to see that the rule of law has so much power. And ultimately, the rule of law, when enacted, when it holds up, it gives people freedom to do the best work of their lives. But there.
One of the interesting things a commenter said, Ephesians 5:11, he would go to sleep listening to my show and wake up in the morning listening to Lex. That's happened to me. So I'd be listening to some other show.
YouTube pushing it, the algorithm?
Yeah, they push Lex on me. Like, I don't even like this guy. I don't know why this is being pushed. And it says a lot about YouTube.
Oh, very much so. And it's crazy to me that, like, Albert Bourla straight up lying.
Yeah, right to your
And
face.
Lex just does not, like, really, like, maybe 2% pushes back. But nothing as hard as you and I would push back if we were interviewing Albert Bourla. Like, it would ever happen. But it's like, it's crazy to me where Bourla's literally saying, well, there's no collusion between the United States government and the big pharma and, regulatory committees and commissions. And, it's a pretty safe track record of drug approvals and them not being recalled quite often. Right, Albert? So,
just
I mean,
stone cold lies. It's fascism. It's like super fascist. All their people are in there. I mean, it's super corrupt. These guys are full on snake oil salesmen. They're horrible.
1,000%. I mean, I'm not going to list the drugs that have been recalled that they know. I'll name two big ones that they knew were bad, but still pushed them anyway. One was OxyContin by the Sackler family, saying it was non-addicting, and the second is Celebrex and the modified COX-2 inhibitors. There are numerous. Like, you can look at the America, which pharmaceutical companies were shipping tainted blood with hepatitis to Europe for hemophiliac patients. Okay, like it's long been documented, the corruption of big pharma, And, American institutions are supposed to regulate big pharma, like the FDA, CDC, for example, is supposed to work with them, have regulations. They don't exist. The regulatory bodies suck. Okay. And big academia ain't helping things either. All right. And so for Albert to be like, well, there's checks and balances within the institutions. And look, I'm not saying you destroy all the institutions and rebuild, because their answer for rebuilding it is artificial intelligence. Okay. But you're going to have to gut them out if they're, but I mean, I never think this will happen, but if you were going to do it, you'd have to gut them out. But they're going to say, look how bad the institutions are. The institutions have completely failed, William. We need government AI.
Right.
And these people already, people at Lex's interview is pushing them, like Elon Musk, for example. So
terrifying. I mean, the thing is that there people are in there. People from Pfizer are in there. There was one when I was looking at the whole shot rollout where they were approving a shot, and they said, we haven't done any testing. We're just going to put it out in the public and see how it goes. Like, there was no placebo testing. And there's not a lot of placebo testing for the 72 shot regimen they're giving the average person. It's stone cold. It's not eugenics. It's depopulation. The average person cannot believe it, that every person who has autism and all those people with neurological problems, it was done intentionally, guys. I'm sorry to tell you.
And it could be also a way of experimentalism as well, too, right? Where they're running all these experiments, and, they do need to keep some of us alive as guinea pigs, obviously, right? But, if they do depopulate some of us, then, oh, well. And I do believe when it came to the shots, when it came to the jabs during COVID-19 and all the data being analyzed, by Palantir through Operation Tiberius Kurt, I'm pretty sure there were people that were given saline shots.
Yeah, no question. Well, imagine the power. Like, it's like a James Bond novel. You know where the lots are going. You know the hot shots. You know the hot lots. You can target whoever you want. Then you kill off certain parts of the population. You own the media. And then you can bring in tons of people and fill those spaces if you want.
Or the same with biological agents like Regeneron that killed my uncle during the pandemic. That was pushed on conservatives as a treatment with COVID, but it's chimeric antibodies. It comes, from them taking mice, taking their thymuses and their spleens and injected aborted fetal tissue cells into those mouse organs to make them humanized, then infecting them with SARS-CoV-2 virus, then extracting the antibodies and purifying them out, which is a monstrosity and abomination against God, and then putting those antibodies in you in the form of Regeneron's COVID drug. And the thing is with Regeneron, I couldn't sue because of the Advanced Use Authorization Act, right? And Regeneron now bought 23andMe genetical data. Well, why? And on top of that, Robert Malone, who everybody thinks is going to come in a white horse, and because he's on RFK Jr.'s vaccine committee, guess what Robert Malone's pushing, William?
Regeneron.
Biological medications and agents.
Wow. When did your uncle die?
That would be 2021.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of people died in these trials. A lot of people died in the hospitals. This is Ezekiel Emanuel overseeing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, he was given Regeneron inappropriately. He was recovering, and they were like, "Okay, your wife is dying." My aunt also passed away, had advanced stage liver failure, and they said, "You can take Regeneron, you'll be able to recover quicker." And I was dealing with COVID during that time as well too, but I was in the hospital, so there wasn't really much communication I was able to have with my uncle until the hospital called me up. After I hadn't heard from him, that I went to bed that night. He took Regeneron. I told him not to, but he didn't listen to me. The next morning, I got a hospital call from the hospital. I was going to, call my uncle, see how he was doing, but he seemed to be doing better. He's on the mend. It seemed like he's getting out. He was off of breathing treatments. He was off of oxygen. I was like, I guess he's going to be okay, right? And then I got a call from the hospital that morning that I needed to come up there, that he was, put on a ventilator again, and his white blood cell count had gone to 0, which is what the drug did because it was inappropriately given to him. But it doesn't matter, so.
Once you go on that ventilator, that's it, man. Like, you're not coming off. These were all death protocols. You could call them perverse incentives, but I think it was all intentional. It's not. The incentives were there to kind of kill and make as many people as miserable as possible. just out of spite, like crazy.
And to experiment to see how they can put, because they're trying to find longevity, the answer to longevity, right? Which they're not going to be able to find, right? Like it's biblically, it's not going to happen. But that's why I think they're doing this mRNA, viral vector DNA, using the shots and stuff like that, is because they're desperately trying to find a way. And that's why Palantir is getting all this data, and anybody who took the jab through Operation Tiberius Kirk. I mean, the data from the manufacturing of the jabs, the distribution of the jabs, to you getting a shot in your past, present, and future medical history for 10 years is being analyzed right now by Palantir Apollo through Palantir Foundry and Warp Speed. All right. So, I mean, there has to be a reason they're taking all that data. And get this, one last thing. I want to continue this. They were testing the water supplies, William. They were testing the water supplies of municipalities. Okay, I have someone very close to me who works for a municipality who knew that the CDC was coming by and testing the water supply. And they're testing the water supply with a grant through Palantir for the data to go back to them for COVID spike protein from the vaccines and wild type 2 polio, which is the polio that is caused by vaccinations.
So they're testing the water supply because of like what people are shedding, or is
yes, what people are shedding. Yes, right. They're monitoring exactly what's going. I mean, that has to be for experimentalism, for depopulation to a degree. Yes, I think that's kind of like the offshoot of it. But whatever they were doing, they were running an experiment. Now, what is specifically that experiment for? Yeah, I'm speculating it's for longevity or whatever. I have no idea what it was for, but it was an experiment because they were gaining this massive amount of data.
Yeah. It was a massive experiment. Billions of people, billions of doses. How do you come up with those doses so fast without prior planning? That's like
correct, yeah.
Like we can't even fulfill orders for weapons in Ukraine, but there was enough doses to dose everybody twice, at least in the US.
And why was Jared Kushner getting the OPSEC through the military and for Big Pharma? If you go back and look at the Operation Warp Speed hierarchy chart, he's getting all the OPSEC information from all the military. Why was Kushner so strongly?
It was a military rollout. Yeah, it doesn't.
I know it was. It's crazy.
I mean, and we're not going to get to the bottom of it because of Mr. Golden Age or whatever, Mr. Superman. Mm-hmm. The Orange Goblin. I mean, this is incredible days, man. Off the chart. Like the resolution is not going to come to the people. Like
how can any Christian look at the White House posting of Trump being Superman as him being the savior, right? And just go, okay, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
I mean, Kal-El meant the image of God, and it was Jews that created Superman. It was based off of Jewish Talmudic Übermensch, theosophical Übermensch of German philosophy. So it was like their version of it. It's crazy, William.
Crazy. It's just absolutely insane that he doesn't pull it back. Like the golden idols and all this stuff is like, is he really that vain that he insecure that he allows somebody to do that to his image? Like you got to wonder. Like, how is he going crazy? Like, people are really, like, in the media that I listen to, they're really questioning his sanity. And I think it's an important question. Like, is this the same guy from 2016? Like, wow. And then he's starting to push people away. You don't see Vance that much in the media anymore.
No.
Or Gabbard, right? So, like, this guy will use people and dispense with them, right? So Musk really helped him get elected. And these
very
guys
much,
now he's gone.
Very much so. And then you have... which I think Musk will eventually return, but you have Trump literally saying Hegseth is the Secretary of War for the second time again today, right? So if Trump is the Antichrist, I believe he may be, out of peace he shall destroy many, right? So we're using kind of Orwellian double speak and double think where Trump keeps declaring peace, but all these wars and these raging wars are going on, right? So he's, Netanyahu puts him up for the Nobel Peace Prize. He keeps saying, I'm doing all these peace treaties, but yet he's also keep bringing war, right? So if that's what that verse means, if he is the Antichrist, out of peace he shall destroy many, then that would fit that. So now it's no longer the Secretary of Defense. It's no longer the Department of Defense. It's now the Department of War, but he's saying I'm bringing peace and safety through the Department of War.
Right. Right, he's bringing safety about Iran after he and Netanyahu worked to try to decapitate the entire leadership.
I know.
Like they tried to kill them all off, and then he gloated about it.
And then he's like,
they're
peace.
dead.
I bought peace. I bought
Yeah.
peace. It's peace now. There's peace.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have the Abraham Accords going to maybe the Cyrus Accords, if depending on which countries are involved with Abraham Accords version 2, that's going to be out soon, right? So I mean, I don't know, man. It's getting wild out there.
It's
getting
really wild. The military parades, the deception, the covering up of Epstein not coming to the front. I mean, I hope some of these people quit. I hope Bongino quits. They have to quit if they have any integrity. Because if you don't, he's just going to lead you down an even darker path of him just being a lickspittle to all his whims. And that's not what people voted for or supported Trump for. So, I mean, these Christians, how can you support this? Like, this is a huge scandal. This whole Epstein rape scandal.
I mean, all of it. RFK Jr. saying all Americans, and then he retracted it per se. All Americans will be wearing wearables in a few years, and he was like, "Well, I didn't mean like all, like." But then, I mean, I've done shows on it. RFK, the transhumanist. I've done 3 shows so far. I got more in the tank to do. I got to do my RFK Jr. Scientology New Age show too as well.
Oh no!
But
I didn't know that.
There's so much proof.
Is his wife a Scientologist?
No, he at one time was a lawyer for a Scientologist defending law firm.
That's disturbing too. So, yeah, things aren't good, man. This is not good. Do you want to get back to Fridman?
Yeah, sorry, we went over a little tangent there.
No, but it's important to see this in context because you're not going to get a straight answer out of this goofball Fridman. No. And that's really, I think that's the gist of what we're trying to say.
And he's going to push transhumanism, because that is what he believes.
Right.
At least I think that is one of the core tenets of what he believes is kind of the transhumanist longevity lie of Silicon Valley.
All right. Here he is I think he's with Musk, right?
I don't think in this one.
Would you have a Neuralink chip implanted in your brain?
Yeah.
No,
I think use case right now is use a mouse, right? I can already do that. And so there's no value proposition. On safety grounds alone, sure, I would do it tomorrow.
You say the use case of the mouse. Because after researching all this, and part of it is just watching Nolan have so much fun. If you can get that bits per second really high with the mouse, being able to interact, because if you think about the way on the smartphone, the way you swipe, that was transformational.
Yeah,
how we interact with the thing. It's subtle, you don't realize it, but to be able to touch a phone and to scroll with your finger, that changed everything. People were sure you need a keyboard to type, and that
you don't have
there's a lot of HCI aspects
for this
to
one.
Okay.
I just wanted to show that Lex was promoting the Neuralink, obviously, going so far to say that he would be hoping to get one himself.
Oh, interesting. Right. So if he can get it, then it's okay for you to get it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
why
he's
not?
going
Right?
to do it. Yeah.
Why not?
Right. Lex is our hero. He's going to do it. Here's the one.
First, let's step back and big congrats on getting Neuralink into a human.
Yeah, that's a win.
A historic step for Neuralink. And
thanks.
Interesting owl shirt there, Elon.
Yeah, we just obviously have a second implant as well.
How did that go?
So far, so good. There looks like we've got, I think, on the order of 400 electrodes that are providing signals. So
nice.
Yeah.
How quickly do you think the number of human participants will scale?
It depends somewhat on the regulatory approval, the rate at which we get regulatory approvals. So we're hoping to do 10 by the end of this year, total of 10. So 8 more.
And with each one, you're going to be learning a lot of lessons about the neurobiology of the brain, the everything, the whole chain of the Neuralink, the decoding, the signal processing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's obviously going to get better with each one. I don't want to jinx it, but it seems to have gone extremely well with the second implant. So there's a lot of signal, a lot of electrodes. It's working very well.
What improvements do you think we'll see in Neuralink in the coming?
Do you know when this interview was conducted? Was it 11 months ago or was it before that?
I don't think. Let me go back and look real quick. Keep playing and I'll look.
Curious. Okay.
Let's get crazy in the coming years.
I mean, in years, it's going to be gigantic because we'll increase the number of electrodes dramatically. We'll improve the signal processing.
Yes, it was 11 months ago.
We even with only roughly 10-15% of the electrodes working with Nolan, with our first patient, we were able to get to achieve a bits per second. That's twice the world record. So I think we'll start like vastly exceeding the world record by orders of magnitude in the years to come. So start getting to 100 bits per second, 1,000. Maybe if it's like 5 years from now, we might be at a megabit.
All right, that's enough for that.
Like faster than
you got it.
That one I just want to show. Obviously, he's having a discussion with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is talking about how much Neuralink has improved. I think it's improved probably far more than that. He's just not really telling. And this is a guy who a lot of people look towards as some sort of hero when Elon Musk wants to put a chip in your brain.
Right. Like, talk about lack of sovereignty. Holy smokes.
Who's
like
still he's still for mRNA. Elon Musk still fine with it. Been pushing the jabs for many years. Still fine with mRNA technology. And I mean, it is what it is, right?
It's amazing. These are amazing days with these guys. This is his baby mama. I think he's had 3 children with her, but I did a show with the PsyOp Cinema guys, and her connections to the what is it? Bring Me the Horizon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like a techno occultist or something like that.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
What do you think is the coolest invention humans come up with?
Previous technologies, may have even been more profound and moved us to a certain degree, but I think the computers are what make us Homo techno.
Yeah.
It's a brain augmentation. So it allows for actual evolution. Like the computers accelerate the degree to which all the other technologies can also be accelerated.
You classify yourself as a Homo sapien or a Homo techno?
Definitely Homo techno.
So
I think we're
early, you're one of the early of the species.
I think most of us are. As I said, I think if you looked at brain scans of us versus humans 100 years ago, it would look very different. I think we are physiologically different.
Just even the interaction with the devices has changed our brain.
A lot of studies are coming out to show that there's a degree of inherited memory. So some of these physiological changes, in theory, we should be passing them on. So that's not like an instance of physiological change that's going to fizzle out. In theory, that should progress to our offspring.
What do you think is the coolest invention humans come up with?
It's just incredible. Like this is like the dark kind of Imperium 09A type stuff that's bled over to dark MAGA. Mm-hmm, like this whole view of a new man. They would call it Homo Galacticus or something like that.
Correct, yeah.
So she has some of this kind of advanced philosophical thinking or something like that. That's also these tech people from Silicon Valley.
But Barbara Marcel would call it Homo Universalis. It's the same, the human that seeds the stars.
It's the same
right?
shtick, yeah.
It's the same. Well, that they're, it's neo-theosophy is what I call it. If I had to give it a name.
No, I think you're right. When Marx talked, when she said Neo Universalis or Homo Universalis, did she have like a term for the people who weren't headed that way, who weren't evolving?
They were the selfish. So I talked to write about the Theosophists. Alice Bailey calls any Christian, anybody who believes that they need a savior is selfish. So through Theosophy and Neo-Theosophy, you'll run across many of them use the term selfish. So they redefine what selfishness is, and that you and I, ethically, morally, and biblically, we would define selfishness as an act in which a person tries to keep something for themselves that not necessarily that they should or need to share with someone else, right? Obviously, I'm not talking about you give everything, that's not what I'm saying, but selfishness would be like, if you're eating a sandwich and someone's starving and you have a foot long and you're like, I'm not going to eat, I'm going to eat the whole thing, that's the definition of being selfish, right? Where they kind of remodel it or rework it in that if you don't want to be part of their Homo Universalis, Homo Technicus, whatever you call it, future or whatever, you're holding them back. You're holding them back from techno accelerationism, Prometheanism, techno optimism. You're stopping from all these innovations from happening. You're stopping from them to live forever and them to see the stars. And, Barbara Marx Hubbard actually says that Christ's abilities, Messiah, right? Because she believes she's a co-creator with God, that she's a Messiah herself, that she's Jesus herself, right? Is biotechnology, mRNA, the ability to self-replicating machines, the ability to seed new star systems and stuff like that and everything. And so you're the selfish. And so what needs to be done to the selfish? Well, the elite, as 1/4, as the pale horse rider, and her interpretation of Revelation, will kill 1/4 of humanity.
Right, those are the
which
selfish.
are the Christians, the selfish.
Selfish is synonymous with Christian.
Yes,
it's interesting when you hear that because it's the same thing in 09A or even Harry Potter. You're being inculcated with this kind of binary philosophy of the magical people and the mundanes, or the muggles, or the selfish, and they're slobs. They're all keeping us back from our grand futuristic destiny as Homo Galacticus or Homo Universalis. So you see it, the similar concepts through different philosophical systems.
But I think it's drawing from the same satanic, inspiration.
I think you're right too.
But yeah, you will see it over and over again put forth by both Satanists and techno optimists.
Right. So it's the same. That's a good point. I think people need to realize that these techno optimists are doing that same thing. They're doing the same thing as the Luciferians, I guess.
Yes, they're not building God's kingdom because we're not supposed to. Jesus Christ treads the right place alone. They're building their father Satan's kingdom on earth, or at least attempting to try to do that
with nice language, like we're moving forward.
Love and light.
Love and light, right?
We can choose how we do that. And I think we were being very reckless about how we're doing that. Like, we're just having social media. But I think this idea that, like, this is a time to choose intelligent design should be taken very seriously. Now is the moment to reprogram the human computer. It's like if you go blind, your visual cortex will get taken over with other functions. We can choose our own evolution. And I think right now, the way we are evolving,
we can choose our own evolution.
We can choose how we do that. And I think we're being very reckless about how we're doing that. Like, we're just having social media. But I think this idea that, like, this...
You choose to consciously evolve. You choose to evolve to Homo Universalis.
Wow.
Same language.
It's the same language, man. Incredible stuff. Like, this isn't like some abstraction from when you see this stuff first, up front. It's not some abstraction you're learning in a book or something. Like, this is like, this philosophy is being promoted like right in front of your face.
They're all saying it by some of the most, in your face, so-called powerful, so-called richest people on the earth, right? It ain't just like some nobody saying these things, right? You have Elon Musk literally going forth and saying, this is what I believe in. A neo-theosophical Russian cosmos belief, and it's satanic to its core. It's Luciferian to its core. It's Promethean to its core. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the LaRouche organization, you know what Helga LaRouche's widow rebranded the organization? You know what it's called now?
Nope.
Promethean Action.
Wow.
Go look on X right now. Look at it right now. A little aside, real quick, just for a second. Go bring it up, William.
I'm trying to.
Promethean Action.
Right. And for people who don't know, Blavatsky, her whole symbol of Satan was Prometheus, right? So Prometheus, for people who don't know, is the Titan that brought fire to humanity, right? Which is why
it's called liberated humanity. It's just another tell of Lucifer. This isn't a tell of Lucifer. It's a Gnostic tell of Lucifer. It's a Gnostic inversion of the Garden of Eden. That's all it is. It's just another tell of it.
15,000 followers. Wow, there it is. There's the space opera symbolism, right?
Yep.
Like, and this is the same thing. It's freaking Mormonism, Scientology, Marx, Order of 9A. It's all, we're going to the stars, and all these other people are holding us back, and Musk probably.
Yes,
just may not see the dark side of it yet.
Well, he said cosmos type things, Russian cosmos type things. But again, like, our perceived enemies, they're like, like, she literally is giving the talking points of American exceptionalism, of techno optimism.
I think I've seen this woman. She like complains about the king of like England and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because that's what LaRouche was.
She's a Larouchian. Wow, this is really dark.
If I remember correctly, if I remember, that's LaRouche's widow.
Okay, maybe that's her. Okay, well that makes perfect sense because I've seen other people promoting her. Holy smokes! It's such.
Yes, Helga Zepp.
That's Helga.
LaRouche. Yes,
this is Helga. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Holy smokes! Because I know a guy who's
fully embracing Luciferian thought. Like, there's no other way around. Like, this is not Christian. This is satanic and evil.
Wow. Super disturbing. I know some people in geopolitics who promote her because some of these guys, like Harley Schlanger, was a LaRouchian. There's like a LaRouchian thing, like a sympathy for LaRouche as a kind of like parapolitical analyst.
I'm not saying LaRouche organization got everything wrong. I'm not saying that. But this is its rotten fruit that's come to its fruition.
Yeah, wow. We'll have to do another show on this. This is crazy. I cannot even believe that. I don't want to go in who's promoted her stuff. It seems like another trendy thing within geopolitics is to bring everything back to the crown, And I don't know how much of that's really true. I think the crown is part of it, but
agree.
It's not all of it. I mean, I think you have to look at it as like Satan is like, from a Christian perspective, it's like Satan's putting things together. In my opinion, that's.
Yes, and God's ultimately allowing and sometimes, driving these things to occur, especially if we're entering the end times. So,
yeah, it sure feels like it. We're sliding into it.
When you look up at the stars and think big, what do you hope is the future of humanity? Hundreds, thousands of years from now, out in space.
I would love to see, a trillion humans living in the solar system. If we had a trillion humans, we would have at any given time 1,000 Mozarts and 1,000 Einsteins. That would, our solar system would be full of life and intelligence and energy. And we can easily support a civilization that large with all of the resources in the solar system.
So what do you think that looks like? Giant space stations?
Yeah, the only way to get to that vision is with giant space stations. The planetary surfaces are just way too small. So you can, unless you turn them into giant space stations or something, but yeah, we will take materials from the moon and from near Earth objects and from the asteroid belt and so on, and we'll build giant O'Neill style colonies. And people will live in those. And they have a lot of advantages over planetary surfaces. You can spin them to get normal Earth gravity. You can put them where you want them.
Enough of
I think most people are going to want to live.
I just wanted to show again that he's pushing
Earth.
it as well. So you have both sides where Bezos has kind of looked at more of a, or at least it's used to be looked more as a leftist, progressive, technocrat billionaire, right? Where now it seems like they're all coming to the center, right? Yeah, in a lot of ways. So it's interesting. It's interesting. He's pushing the same beliefs.
Isn't this also a deflection away from their rapacious greed? And yes. Dietrich his employees at Whole Foods like.
Don't worry! Don't worry. We're going to seed the stars, but it's going to take the blood of so many people, right? The theosophical
better restock those shelves, peasants.
Yeah, the theosophical concept of Stephen Ketamine Bannon, CMP used to say. My friend Jeff Shepard showed me it's a theosophical concept of Alice Bailey. Next man up, right? You're replaceable. Next man up. Someone else will fill your job for the future society.
Wow. Yeah, that's what these guys are kind of like. I'm not saying this is a pipe dream, but there's something about this where it's like this future utopianism that they're selling, like communist utopianism. I'm not saying they're communist, but it's like this.
Well, Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, right?
Yeah, there you
World
go.
Future Society. I mean, that's communism, right?
And it just never works out that way. Communism was just deadly as hell. 100 million people just shooting. I mean, that's the whole thing is like, if you have these people holding us back like communism had, you had the reactionary forces, right? And we got to get rid of them. They just slaughtered. I mean, I could do a show on. You talk about democide. The communists really were capable of democide, much like the Nazis. Yeah, wild. Let's see. But just like his show, like he gets these guys on his show. It's like, oh, it's just Jeff Bezos today.
It's just okay. Tomorrow I got Elon Musk. The next day I have Albert Bourla. It's all good.
Yeah, it's no big deal. These are just huge world controllers. All right, let's hear this Dubin guy.
Let's take a step into the world of studies. Timothy Leary. Who was he? And what were the most important ideas you've learned from him?
I can answer that. He was a CIA agent. Loved Aleister Crowley. And was carrying on the work, actually.
Who, RFK Jr., used to go take drugs at his house.
I didn't know that in LA.
You can go. No, it was one of his houses, not in LA, but he had one in New England as well, too.
Interesting. There was like a documentary when I was studying Children of the Beast and stuff on Larry. There's a documentary about his last days, and he was in LA, and so a lot of the kind of cultural elite would come and hang out with him. And he had some kind of weird satanic like triptych, almost like an Orthodox church thing, but it had 666 in the background. Like it was really dark. Like it was super demonic. Like I was freaked out. It wasn't Christian. It was like a perversion of Christian. And yeah, he's not a nice guy. Leary is not a good person in my opinion.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I did have the opportunity to get to know him personally and to spend some time with him. Timothy Leary, well, let's start with Nixon saying...
Look at his shirt that he's wearing. Novum Collegium Floridas or whatever, Platidas, with some kind of weird...
It's weird, right?
Yeah. Like a weird kind of four-sided trip. Okay, this is weird. Okay, let's go back.
He's the most dangerous man in America.
That's a good place to start. Yes.
Yeah. And why did Nixon say that? It's because of this tune in, turn on, tune in, drop out. Mm-hmm. Timothy Leary was just an incredible advocate for think for yourself, question authority. Those were things he said all the time. Think for yourself, question authority. He was a rebel. He was kicked out of West Point. He was a psychologist who
listen to all this Timothy
was
Leary
at Harvard for 3 years, from 60 to 63. Before he got to Harvard, he had an experience with mushrooms in Mexico. And that he said he learned more in that experience than he'd had in his entire academic career before then about how the human mind works. Mm-hmm. And so he came to Harvard wanting to do research into psychedelics. And he did some very important studies, both of which, one was called the Good Friday experiment, which was whether psychedelics in religiously inclined people taking psilocybin in a religious setting, whether it could produce a mystical experience. That took place at Marsh Chapel at Boston University. Because it's a little bit subjective, or you could say entirely subjective, what people describe happens to them, he wanted to do another study, which would be a more objective measure, and that was called the Concord Prison Experiment. And that was the thought: if you can give people psilocybin, mystical sense of connection type experiences while they're in prison, when they get out, they'll be more pro-social and they'll have reduced recidivism. Mm-hmm. So Tim did that. He also did the naturalistic studies of giving loads of people psilocybin and sort of writing down what their experiences were, the range of experiences. Later on, in his time at Harvard, they started doing LSD, and LSD is more cerebral, longer lasting, not as reassuring in a way as psilocybin. Sometimes he used to say that
how he's romanticizing.
Never got into LSD; they'd still be at Harvard.
Right. I mean, that's how Rick Doblin is. I hate to say this, I got to go in a few minutes, William.
Okay.
Could you play the clip of Jared Kushner real quick? Can we close with that one, please?
Let's do it. Jared Kushner, Lex on Gaza.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back here.
We should do a show on the Maps Institute one day as well, too.
Anytime.
Joe Rogan pushed Maps and Rick Doblin very strongly. Have had various people on through Maps.
This is just so crazy. Like, this is a propaganda so dark, man. When you really look at altogether, it's like
West Bank and Gaza, you had 5 million people, and we put together a plan. I think it was about $27 billion. We got together a conference. I had the head of AT&T. We had Steve Schwartzman from Blackstone came. We had all the leading Arabic businessmen, the leading builders, leading developers. And the general consensus of that conference was that this is very doable. We think that for Gaza in particular, it would cost maybe $7 to $8 billion to rebuild the entire place. We felt
the entire place.
We can create over 1 million jobs there. The only thing that people said was holding it back wasn't Israel. What was holding it back was governance, and people wouldn't have confidence investing there with the rule that Hamas was perpetuating. So you need the right governance, and all of the different Arabic countries are willing to fund it. The international community is willing to fund it because they've just been throwing so much money at the Palestinians for years. That's never been outcomes based or conditions based. It's just been entitlement money. West Bank and Gaza, you had 5.
So I'm thinking about it now, William. You have you have the UAE, Dubai, and Qatar pouring so much money in AI, working directly with Kushner and the technocrats and everything. Do they put forth the test run for AI governance in Gaza?
Right. It's on the horizon. AI is involved in that place. But I like the way he shifts away the blame from Israel. It's not because of Israel. It's because of governance issues, guys. Come on. Oh, my God. John,
I was supposed to say with closing, he talks about if Gaza's destroyed, right? He didn't necessarily say that, but the way he was kind of framing it, like if it no longer exists, it'd only take about 8 or 9 million to rebuild it back nicer, right?
They've spent so many billions. I've said this. They could have bribed people to get Hamas out of Gaza for probably $1 billion. Just bribe the right people.
It's crazy.
It destroyed.
It's crazy.
Give me a break. After they did this whole decapitation strike on Iran, this picture came out of Netanyahu. He's either in Greece or Israel. And look at these people behind him. They're Lex Fridman clones. Maybe Lex Fridman is a clone of some kind of Secret Service Israeli.
Mossad agent. The guy look behind him, that looks like Lex Fridman. It looks like him.
It looks like him, and we know Godsad has admitted to being a Mossad agent. So how many of these guys are for people who don't know, every person who's Jewish in the United States is literally 1 or 2 people removed from Israeli intelligence or Israeli military. So it's not like these people are different. They just don't tell you. They're all related to somebody who's in Israel. So that's just a basic fact. And people can send me something and prove me wrong. John, where can people find your stuff? We've read the documents.
We've read the documents on Substack. We've read the documents on Odyssey and Patreon, on YouTube, Rumble. And Substack is where I'm posting most of my content. Thank you, William, for having me on. I'm also to plug yours as well too. I'm happy Patreon for years of William's Patreon. So definitely support William's work. Definitely support his Patreon or anybody's out there listening. So
I will put links to all those in the show notes so people check that out. John's been very busy. He puts out a lot of great content. Check it out. We had over 250 listeners without any notifications. So thanks to everybody for listening.
Yes.
And if you like the content, please share the show. Share the show and promote John and myself. We don't have an advertising budget. We are truly independent journalists with family lives and trying to do stuff as much as possible. So anything you can do to share the show is much, much appreciated. So thanks so much. And thanks again, John. It's great to talk to you again.
Right. God bless everyone listening.
God bless you too. God bless everybody.